Lord, make us instruments of your peace.
Where there is hatred, let us sow love.
Where there is injury, pardon.
Where there is doubt,
Faith. Where there is despair, hope.
Where there is darkness,
light. And where there is sadness, joy. O Divine Master,
grant that we may not so much seek
to be consoled as to console,
to be understood as to understand,
to be loved as to love. For it is in giving that we receive,
it is in pardoning that we are pardoned,
and it is in dying
that we are born to eternal life.
Amen.
Here is your WESN News on the Hour. I'm Naomi McNish. Thanks for joining us. Here are the headlines. DPP Roger Gaspard finds father's body at home. Dennis, THA must drop fraud claims in zipline case. Young police officer dies in tragic motorcycle crash. And internationally, Romanian president resigns amid political crisis. Now for the details. Director of Public Prosecutions Roger Gaspard made a heartbreaking discovery when he found his father's lifeless body at his San Fernando apartment on February 9th. Gaspard had gone to visit his 89-year-old father, Joseph Gaspard, around 5:30 p.m., but received no response despite several calls. Using a spare key, he entered the apartment and found his father lying motionless on a bed. A district medical officer examined the body and found no signs of foul play. Gaspard told investigators that his father had hypertension and prostate issues. An autopsy will be conducted to determine the exact cause of death. Former Tobago House of Assembly Chief Secretary Ansel Dennis is calling on current Chief Secretary Fali Augustine to end what he calls a witch hunt over the failed zipline project. Dennis says the THA should stop pursuing fraud allegations and instead focus on recovering the $2.5 million spent on the uncompleted project. His comments come after a court ruled that the THA was wrong to accuse a company of fraud. The court found that while the zipline project was never completed, the company involved was legitimate. The judge ruled that this was a breach of contract issue, not fraud. Dennis is demanding that the THA apologize to former political leader Tracy Davidson Celestin and others accused. He also criticized Augustine's plan to appeal the ruling, say it would waste taxpayers' money. A young police officer has died in a tragic motorcycle accident just days before his 25th birthday. PC Shazim Aaron Williams was off duty when he crashed along the Solomon-Hotra Highway in Freeport around 10 p.m. on February 8th. Reports indicate he lost control of his bike and struck the metal guardrails. His body was thrown onto the roadway where several vehicles reportedly ran over him. Williams' mother, Lisa, described him as a quiet, hard-working man who always dreamed of becoming a police officer. She revealed that she had begged him not to buy a motorcycle, but it was his passion. Williams, who was stationed at the Canoopia CID, had previously survived a motorcycle accident in 2024. His colleagues and family are mourning his sudden loss, while police continue to investigate the incident. Internationally, Romanian President Klaus Iohannis has resigned following mounting pressure over a controversial election dispute. Last year, the country's top court voided the December presidential election, citing allegations of Russian interference. Iohannis, a pro-EU liberal, initially planned to stay in office until a new election in May, but faced strong opposition from far-right politicians and protesters. To avoid further political instability, Iohannis announced his resignation, stating that he wanted to spare Romania from unnecessary turmoil. A new presidential election is now expected to take place in the coming months. Well, that's news to the hour on WESN. I'm Naomi McNish. Thanks for watching.
WESN.
This is Face of Sports, WESN Content Capital. How you felt about the kiss on the lip?
That's the business. I'm nothing to do with that.
I find that was distasteful.
The national senior team, whether you like it or not, that is the model for all other teams to follow.
I'm assuming that the regional requirement may be a much stricter requirement.
This is not about Pro League and Super League. This is a league run by the Normalization Committee that I'm responsible for.
Nobody expected FIFA to fund this arrangement.
If we don't get a professional attitude towards this, we are doomed for failure.
You break the balance, trip the leg, control the body.
They ain't gonna stand put forever.
Why you want the Chiefs to lose so? Why you want the Chiefs to lose so?
They already have two. Lamar don't
Why?
have.
You're jealous because you know the Chiefs getting closer to the Patriots. Let's go to the last part.
No,
of the
not no.
Let's go to the last part.
This is 10 questions. I'm Andy Johnson. The distance from where we should be in the world in going forward on our commitments with climate change.
The effects of climate change that cannot be accounted for. It's called loss and damage, and we're seeing loss and damage happening so much more in this decade and the previous decade.
The principal term there was this question of the correspondent banking issues.
That is why we're trying to build capacity with this country here, Trinidad and Tobago, and other countries in the region.
Man is not showing any signs of stopping or even slowing down. More than half of the forest in Trinidad is already gone.
All the plants and all the animals and all of the nice clean water and fresh air and everything had to be on this planet for humanity to have a chance.
We have small change when it comes to countries that can take decisions, and when they speak, the world listens.
The General Assembly is a very democratic forum. And Trinidad and Tobago has the same vote as Canada, in spite of the obvious difference in size.
Folks, we're back and better than ever.
Your show have always appeared to be a show that is focused on going to the cause or looking to the cause.
We hardly ever talk about the white-collar crime, though. We always talk about the ones that involve more as physical violence against individuals.
The citizens will only measure transmission when water starts to flow through their taps.
Because the vision doesn't talk about local election.
Contract mafia that's responsible for looting the country, and they own and operate these politicians.
So if you are running a country and you can't say nothing as a prime minister, please take up your bag and go.
It is not comparative to the murder figures, but it is in fact very high.
I believe he's protecting certain individuals.
Join me, Dr. Nalini Kokram, on What's Up Doc, where we discuss all your burning questions concerning health.
Trinidad and Tobago is among one of the highest risk group of patients that develop this form of genetic breast cancer.
What I'd like to take home from a short interview like this, screening. You must screen.
Because it's silent.
It's silent.
Yeah.
And because it's silent, you don't know it's there.
What's Up Doc? Every Tuesday
Signs of
and
recovery.
Thursday on WESN
I like to feel.
Content Capital.
WESN.
Good morning. Welcome to AM Prime. I am your co-host, Naomi Macnish.
And I am Jada McLeod.
Thank you for joining us this morning. As always, we appreciate you starting your day with us. Let's get into this morning's first conversation. Squatting. Squatting has been a contentious issue in Trinidad and Tobago, with thousands of families living on state lands, often facing the threat of eviction. While authorities have taken action against illegal settlements, many argue that squatting is not just a problem, but a solution to the country's housing crisis. One organization that has been working for decades to provide land and housing solutions is the Susu Lands Cooperative Society. Joining us today is, via phone, is Lennox Sankasing, chairman of the Susu Lands Cooperative Society, a non-profit organization that has been helping families access land and build homes since 1987. With a history of assisting over 3,000 families and distributing more than 2,000 parcels of land, Mr. Sankasing has been at the forefront of land distribution efforts, advocating for a more structured approach to addressing squatting in the country. So today we'll be discussing the challenges, potential solutions to squatting in Trinidad and Tobago, the role of organizations like Susu Lands, and what more can be done to ensure that every citizen has access to a place that they can call home. Good morning, Mr. Sankasing. Thank you for joining us on the program.
Yes, my pleasure.
So, Mr. Sankasing, can you start by giving us an overview of Susu Lands and its mission in assisting families with land acquisition?
Yes, well, the system started many years ago in the late 1970s. Well, as you know, there are lots of squatting in Trinidad. In fact, it's a worldwide problem in developing countries. If you go to Venezuela or even Brazil, Rio de Janeiro, you see squatters by the thousands. In Trinidad, we had a similar problem, and it's all because, you know, lands are out of the reach of the very, very poor. And so if you look at Laventille, for instance, a large parts of Laventille are comprised of squatters, and in many other areas in Trinidad. If you look along the hills, you see them all over, but it's all over Trinidad. So John Humphrey was the man really behind it, and in the late 1970s, he began, the state always used the system of demolishing squatters. And John Humphrey would go back and try and build back the shacks for the squatters when the state broke them down. He and one or two people, a few people will go and do this. In fact, once or twice I joined him in the late 1970s, in 1979 actually. I was at Coover, and he was the Carney police officers, Carney Limited police officers. They would break down land houses in Waterloo, in Trinidad. And I went down there and assisted them in building back one house that was demolished. And so this problem continued. There was no easy solution to it, but no effort was really made by the state to solve these problems. Of course, there's the National Housing Authority, which supposed to provide for housing for those who need it, but not much could have been done by them. You know, they build a few houses here, a few there, but you have to pay for them, and once the prices are reasonable, I suppose that people could afford it. But you find many people renting houses and in arrears of rent for many years, many years in arrears. They couldn't pay. And so we did this, and in Humphrey was the Member of Parliament for St. Augustine from 1981. Sorry, that would be 1976. He was Member of Parliament. In 19, let's see if I can recall it correctly, 1981, so I'm making an error here. I just got it from sleep. My head is not too right at this moment. But anyway, in the late 1970s, he there were 17 squatting families in the Twin City area, that is in the St. Augustine constituency. And John Humphrey was the Member of Parliament for the St. Augustine constituency. And the owners of the Twin City area, at that time the Twin City Mall was not built yet, and the owners of that Twin City estate decided that they needed to move out these 17 squatting families. I think there were a couple of very senior lawyers involved in that who part owners of that company. And they obtained a court order that to move out the families and served it on them, and then they lined up a small tractor to demolish them. But they came to Humphrey immediately. So Humphrey contacted the owners of the company, and he arranged that they asked them if they could hold their hand for at least 2 weeks while he tries to obtain an area where they can move to.
Yes.
Well, some of you may know that that there's a big squatting settlement right next to the Arima racetrack called Peytonville. I'm not sure how many people will be familiar with that. But he went to those people and he asked them if they could accommodate 17 more squatting families. They said that will be too much. The authorities will take notice, and all of them will be problems. So in fact, all of them may have to move out. So that will be a dangerous move. So we looked around. Well, I was trying to assist them at that time, and looked around, and because one of the things I had to do immediately was that the owners of the Twin City estate asked them to get a lawyer to write them a letter asking for the 2-week extension. He came to me. I was a young fellow, just come out of law school, and so he came to me. I wrote them a letter, and they agreed. They wrote me back and said they agreed for 2 weeks extension. So I went with him, and we started looking for land all over. And you may know that in the 70s, it was the sort of middle of the oil boom years. So money was flowing like water in this country. And so many people who would normally be daily paid laborers in estates and so on, instead of spending a day working on an estate, they prefer to join DUDE, the government make work program, and perhaps work, get a full day's pay and work for 2 hours. That was the nature of the system, the 2 or 3 hours, and they would stay on the road working, and they go home half day and so on.
So I hear that, Mr. Sankerson. Can I ask, how come you said yes to this? How come you decided to write that letter to be a part?
Well, because I was, let's see, let me see. I was always concerned about, the development of our country and the direction that we are going. I had done a lot of university work. I went to Amplia College, really I went to the University of Toronto, did a Bachelor of Science degree, then did some courses work into a Bachelor of Arts degree, right? And then I did law and so on. So I was always involved in community activity and developmental issues. Sorry?
No, so you go ahead.
Yes. So we relocated to we located an abandoned estate in Coreal, which is not very far from Sangre Grande, a few miles south of Sangre Grande, and it was for sale. It was probably the cost was about $200,000 for the entire estate, which was very reasonable at the time. And so we had a meeting with the 17 squatters, and we asked them. We met with them at the Freeman Road Community Center, that is in St. Augustine, just opposite the university. So we met with them, we put the whole situation to them, and they said yes, they agreed. They went to look at it, and they said they liked it, and they would contribute to it. So they started contributing funds to it. But we realized that the money was not enough. They needed more funds to really get going. So we asked them if they can contact other squatters, other poor and landless people who would come in and contribute to it. So we met the following week, and dozens of people came. So we started collecting funds. And we realized that, and after a while, after a couple of meetings, we realized that we had more than enough money to pay for the lands. So we asked those people who came in last if they could take back their money. Not a single person took back his money. They say, we ask what to do. Well, they say, buy more land. You say, well, you will have to help us look for lands wherever you live, wherever you go, and that sort of thing. You come from the various places. You'll see lands that are vacant, and it will be good for housing and so on, and we will approach the owners. And this they did. So we purchased the Coreal estate, and we started the process. We informed the owners of the ICNTT estate that we had the process of developing those lands, and the persons will move out. And they gave us an extension of time, and the squatters would move out very shortly, which they did. And people started every Wednesday evening at 7 o'clock. We will hold a meeting at Freeman Road Community Center, and more people came in, and they came in by the hundreds. And we collected whatever they could afford. In fact, I recall one lady, after the meeting and we started collecting funds, one lady said she wants to join, but she doesn't have any money now. So I told her, well, next time, the next birthday, when you have some funds, you just contribute. She said, well, she has 25 cents as extra. Can't you pay that? So I said, yes, pay 25 cents. And we gave her a receipt for 25 cents. So she joined the process. And many people started paying by $1. In fact, at our office in Vancouver, if you visit any time, and you're welcome to visit at any time, you will see we have examples of copies of receipts stuck up in the outer wall in the office so anybody can see it. Receipts of $1 where people started paying and so on. So a lot of people joined, and they start locating land all over the country for us, right? Well, not every estate would be suitable. So we look at the ones that we thought might be suitable for some degree of housing, maybe some degree of agriculture, mixed housing and agriculture and so on. So we agreed to purchase 490 acres of land in Kunaripo. Kunaripo is only 3 miles from San Grande or the Guayco-Tamana Road. Your listeners, some of your listeners may not be quite familiar with the size of an acre, but a house lot is about 5,000 square feet, but an acre of land is about 8 house lots. That's about.
Mr. Lennox, I just want to reiterate what you said. So the cooperative society, it's a type of membership that these squatters can will join to get.
Well, at that time, we do not form a cooperative yet. We're not even thinking in that direction. But when we started to get going, we purchased land and all over the country. I can just briefly tell you how many acres we bought. 490 acres in Kunaripo, 147 acres in James Mart Village, and between San Grande and Manzella. We bought 147 acres there. We bought 400 acres in Las Lomas. So some of your older listeners who recall that when you go to the Las Lomas area, there will be a big estate where you see bisons and so on the sides of the road. That was owned by Huggins Trust Limited. 250 acres on the northern side and 150 acres on the southern side. And we purchased that entire estate. With 4 people bringing the money and raising funds, people started by $100, $200, $300, and so they come in.
Mrs. Sankasing, sorry. I want to touch on a statistic from the LSA, that's the Land Settlement Agency. They said there are over 60,000 squatting families or squatting households in Trinidad and Tobago, but only 23,000 have applied for certificates of comfort. Can you tell us a little bit about what these certificate of comforts are and why such a large gap between the squatters and those who are applying for regularization?
Yes, they are probably thinking along the lines that they are certificates of comfort are only applicable to those people who are squatting on state lands, and there are about 50,000 families squatting on state lands, and the old figures were probably 60,000 by now. But there's a similar number squatting on private lands all over the country. So it's a wide range of squatters out there. Now, some people may not be aware of what to do, how to approach it, how to do this, how to do this application. But it's only on squatters on state lands that they are talking about. They can only regularize those. and possibly there are many people who are squatting on state lands that may not be appropriate lands that are dedicated for future development, for state activity and so on. But obviously they will not be regularizing those. So that is the situation why people may not be applying.
What does the certificate of comfort mean?
Right. It is a document that they give you. It's written on the top of it. Certificate of comfort is like a big certificate, and it tells you. It talks about your name, where the land is, and so on. And so this is so what it does. It really gives you comfort. That is, they tell you that they will not come to demolish, and they will be try to be regularized as soon as possible. That's all. But it's not an ownership of land. It's just that they recognize their right, that you were occupying there for many years, and they recognize right, and they will try to legitimize, if I can use that word, legitimize your situation sometime in the future. That's what it really means.
So in your capacity as an attorney, where there's cases of government intervention that leads to these forced evictions, are there any legal precedents or negotiations that someone like you can do to kind of sort of force certificates of comfort to help people get these certificates of comfort?
Okay, well, there's a nice story behind that, because as you may not know, but we started that system of certificates of comfort. Oh. And what you may recall, you may not be old enough to remember this, but the Susulan system started in 1981. And we developed it in 1983, and we went along. And then there was an election coming up in 1986. And you recall that certain political parties had gotten together, the ULF at that time, the ONR under Carl Phillips, the DAC under N.R. Robinson, all these smaller parties like the Borough Action Team and ICNTT, we all got together. And we fought the PNM. We built a party. And we call it the NAR, National Alliance for Reconstruction. You recall that? Mm-hmm. Anyway, so, and when we fought the PNM, we beat the PNM. But at that time, there were 36 seats in the country, 34 in Trinidad and 2 in Tobago. And we beat the PNM 33-3, which was some kind of historical record. Mm-hmm. That has never been repeated since. Do you recall that? Anyway.
No. I don't think we were around that time.
Anyway, but this is historical, and I think it should be part of the educational process of all students at schools about the history of our country and how things develop. But that was truly an amazing thing. Mm-hmm. Anyway, at that time, who was the leader of the PNL? I can't recall right. Oh, it was, I think, George Chambers. Remember, Dr. Williams had died in about 1982 or so, right? Mm-hmm. And then George Chambers was appointed Prime Minister, and he fought the St. Anne's East constituency. And he lost his seat. Back first sitting Prime Minister to ever have lost his seat, as George Chambers. So, having won the election so convincingly, well, we took over everything. And the entire Susulan company, the only directors in our country, we had formed a company called Susulan Limited, which is a non-profit organization, which still exists. It was like myself, Dr. Alan Sami, Dr. Hassan Mohammed, who was working in the leader of the opposition, people like Trevor Sudama and Gobinder Upnarayan, and quite a few others. Mm-hmm. I recall the head librarian of the Industrial Court was very much interested in what we were doing, and she came and she joined. The Catholic priest in Couva came in and he joined as a member. And people in Sandy Grande, Pat Lawrence, an activist in Sandy Grande area, joined and so on. We got people from all over the country who came in and worked with us.
Mm-hmm. So speaking about persons who work alongside you guys on this venture, how do you respond to any critics who argue that squatting is illegal and just should not be encouraged at all?
Well, we were not really encouraging it. We were trying to regularize the ones that exist, who could be regularized.
Yes.
And regularized is not a English word as such, but people use it all the time.
We get what you mean.
So it's a kind of acceptable word that we use in our language day to day. So persons that could be regularized and so on, and trying to find lands for people to. So many squatters all over the country at that time. It's all over the place. It was a major problem where sometimes people couldn't get electricity, they couldn't get water connection, and all sorts of things.
Mr. Sanka saying,
yes.
on the topic of regularization, the LSA had claimed that the regularization of squatters may encourage more people to squat illegally. What would be your response to that?
I say that is absolute nonsense. People live there and they need a place to live, and they won't be going anywhere else because they have nowhere else to go. So there's no alternative but to accommodate them as best as we can. It is certainly the case where sometimes some people may be going on areas which is not proper to do because it's a place that is marked for the future development, roads and all sorts of things, and therefore they should find accommodation of people for elsewhere. Yeah. The state have, how many vacant land the state has?
Yep.
Thousands and thousands. Most of the country is comprised of vacant land. If you drive up to all over the places vacant lands. That doesn't mean to say that you have to build everywhere, but certainly there's places where people can be accommodated. But that is not happening. And going through the governmental system, it's slow and tedious, and that sort of thing. The bureaucracy is amazing in the governmental system. So people have to move quickly. Sometimes they need a place urgently, and so on. So that's it.
So how has the dialogue been, if you would know, about with the government to create a more structured approach to relocation rather than these evictions?
Right. Well, we did, when we took over the government in 1986, they took the entire board of Sukulan and appointed them to manage the National Housing Authority. They were appointed as directors. Humphrey was appointed Minister of Housing, logically, I suppose. And he's the man who's spearheading housing in Trinidad and Tobago. And so they put us on the NHA board as directors. Myself, Ivan Loughlin became the chairman, a well-known surveyor, member of the Tapia. People in the Tapia House movement all members of the Tapia House movement were in favor of this line of development that we had approved. And then we started to formalize it and then have some structured development. So we've created something called Projects 100 with the intention of doing 100 development housing projects in the entire country, in Trinidad and Tobago. So we started it, in fact, Project 100 might include, certainly, we all know some of these. Those of you from Central, you know the Cuba area, you know the Royston area. The Royston area started up as a Project 100. When you were going down the highway, as you approach, as you leave San Fernando, and before you reach Bay, you know the highway had stopped there for a while. And there's a project at the end there called, I can't remember what's the name of it now, a huge housing project. Like on a slight slope going up and so on. Like as you're going towards San Fernando, towards the Gulf City Mall, on the left-hand side, there's a big development there, started many, many years ago. That is a Project 100. And in all parts of Trinidad, La Paille, well, you all must know La Paille village in Caroni. Most of probably some of you pass all the time. Beautiful houses. That is a NHA squatters housing project and so on. And many places in Trinidad, you had these developments taking place. But unfortunately, as we went along in 1988, 89, and so on, some of the leaders of the ANS had a quarrel among themselves. Mr. Humphrey, Mr. Robinson, Mr. Pandey, Trevor Tudama, and so on. So the whole system was slowed down. It was damaged almost irreversibly. But the project, many of these projects have started, and they had to continue, so which they did. So you see some of the most, in Carney Savannah Road is a beautiful housing project built at that time, and so on. So in 1991, there was another election, and the NR lost. It lost, and
Mr. Sanka saying, I don't mean to cut you, but we are tight on time. I want to touch on really quickly the squatters from Ramjat and Trace Arima.
Yes.
I know you all have been helping them. Can you just tell us a little bit quickly about how you've been helping them and what has been done so far.
Well, we spoke to the newspapers and so on and indicated that we would like to help and so on. But that was only over the weekend that happened. We have been on Friday, Tuesday or Friday. So, so we have not made contact with them yet, and we would like to do it. But we would like at least a member of that community, they can contact us. We'd like to assist because we have a lot of lands available, still available in various parts of Trinidad, and perhaps we could make lands available to them. But you see, when they begin to squat like Ramjatan village and La Hoquita, I think that's where it is.
Rima, yeah.
Yes, La Hoquita and Rima, yes. You see, they're already settled there. They have children. Children go to school. Yes. They are in that particular area. So it's difficult, almost impossible, just to move them out to lock, stock, and barrel when they have families and they have activity in the area. They're tied to the communities already, and things like that. So the best thing to do would be for them to be regularized as they are. So what we can do is we can try and represent them as best as we can. We can write letters. We get lawyers to write letters to the NHA, get involved, and pick it up from there. Those persons who are unable to be regularized there, we could assist them to find alternative housing. Alternatively, what we could try and do is find a vacant piece of land that's close by that area, approach the owners and see if we can get a piece of it, and they could start contributing funds towards purchasing of the area. We can do that.
So those squatters at Ramjatan Trace, they cannot, is it too late for them to apply for that certificate of comfort for the regularization?
No, they don't take lands. They can apply for a certificate of comfort immediately, and we can show them how to do it.
Right. All right. Mr. Sankar Singh, thank you so much for joining us this morning. I know we started a bit late. We had a lot more to cover with you, so I do hope we can hopefully do a part 2 to this conversation.
Yeah, okay.
That would be nice. But thanks again for joining us this morning.
All right. But you'll also need a part 3 and part 4 because this is such a story.
It's a big topic.
Yes. Okay. Okay, we wrote a book on it, the life story of John Humphrey, dealing mainly about the Sulan.
Right.
Okay. Right.
Thanks so much.
Thanks
again. Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Have a good day.
Bye.
Yes, so we're going to move on this morning. We have another guest coming to talk about a book on project management. So stay with us. We'll be right back.
FanZone, your reliable, authentic supplier, has just gotten better. You can now visit our website, www.fanzonett.com, for your authentic wear and collectibles. The only place where you can use both your Visa debit and credit cards. Visit our website, fanzonett.com, to make your purchase today.
Transform your home with PCU Plus. From stylish furniture to the latest appliances, we have everything you need to create your perfect space. At PCU Plus, we offer fair prices and affordable financing options that are cheaper than hire purchase agreements. With convenient locations in San Fernando, Tobago, Arima, and our lifestyle showroom in Barataria, you're never far from the best deals. Visit PCU Plus today and discover why we're the top choice for quality furniture and appliances. PCU Plus. Quality you trust. Prices you'll love. Visit one of our locations or find us online to start transforming your home today.
Maybe he landed here totally by coincidence. But if by chance he's admiring your fresh coat of Benjamin Moore soft sky blue, well, that's a pretty high compliment. Coming from an expert.
And welcome back to the show. This morning we have a guest live with us here on Zoom by the name of Dr. Derek DeGans. He describes himself as self-driven and self-motivated. His long-term objective is to assist Fortune 500 corporations and governments worldwide realize their true potential through the enablement of the right technology while guiding them through the required organizational change. He is the president of DeGans Enterprise Technology Consulting Incorporated, headquartered in Alberta, Canada, and is most recently the author of Blind Spot, Blunders and Bloopers, Project Management Don'ts. Warm welcome to the show, Dr. DeGans. How are you?
Thanks for having me. I'm doing very well, thanks. It's a pleasure to be here.
All right. Can you tell us a little bit more about who you are and what is it about your enterprise? What is your enterprise, Dr. DeGans?
Sure. Well, born and bred Trini, grew up in Aruca, emigrated to Canada about 15 years ago. Been in IT forever, so I don't want to say how long, but a very long time. Family and so on, but loved the technology side. Went to project management, started lecturing at UWI Online campus, doing lecturing over here, does leadership courses worldwide. And I just love, main part is the people, really. Love that interaction, learning the cultures and getting to know people inside out and how I am able to help them by my own experience and of course by my academic background as well. So in a nutshell, that's me. That's me.
Dr. DeGans, sorry. What inspired this book? Why did you decide to focus on the don'ts rather than the traditional best practices?
Exactly. There's enough, and I mean enough of the how-tos in this field. But no one really tells you, and I haven't seen a book as yet, or any literature on what not to do. You learn that along the way. You learn some stuff in class, but there's all these textbooks, 300 plus pages on what to do, but nothing there in that space about what not to do. So I said, you know what, my wife some months ago told me, Derek, why don't you write a book? And I said, you know what, that's a damn good idea. So went about that, and my emphasis was light reading. I didn't want another, like I said, a thick academic type textbook. I wanted to be light reading, walk about with it, focus on the key thing that matters to beginner or seasoned project manager. And that is what eventually drove me to produce the now published book.
All right. Can you share some of the, without giving away too much, some of the real-world key principles or concepts that you emphasize in this book?
Absolutely. Stakeholder management. Stakeholders are the people that want this project, they want it to succeed. They are the ones that approve the monies for the budget, for the project. They are the ones that assign key people to your project as well. So that relationship, and it's the relationship really between the project manager and those key stakeholders there. I dive into that a bit enough so that people can really understand and grasp the importance of your stakeholders and the project team within the organization to drive success. Another key point that I drove about is managing conflict. I've seen over the years, time and time again, seasoned and beginner project managers avoiding conflict. Projects bring conflict. A change will bring conflict. And you can't avoid that. You can't push that under the rug. So I give guidance on how to not avoid it, approach it, but respectful and key strategies to how to work through that to gain back the confidence again of that stakeholder, the first point and so on. So those are two highlights that comes within the book.
What are some of the, or what are the biggest misconceptions about project management itself?
Very good question. The project management is easy, that it's a one-man show, that it doesn't involve managing change. Those things there are what do they call? Pie in the sky. Those things are part of project management. Project management is not easy at all. You have to really, and I go back to my first point about that stakeholder relationship. You have to work with people, technology is the easy part, because most of my projects involves a lot of technology. But that's the easy part, is the working with people, learning people, managing people, leading people, leading by example, influencing people. All of that involves being a successful project manager. And that's what this book talks about as well, that relationship building, keeping the relationship positive is what drives success. So the book focuses around that and dives into that in some detail, enough to whet your appetite to want to know more about the topic. Yeah.
So, well, the book is designed for professionals and newcomers. What advice, or if any, would you give to someone that is interested or just starting out in project management, interested in project management? Maybe something from your book, Ethan.
Yeah. Seek out a mentor. Look for someone that has been there, done that. Look for someone that has walked over the coals, that have burnt over the years, that have real lessons that they have learned. So if you wanted to go into project management, don't be scared. You will fumble, you will tumble along the way. But if you seek out a good mentor, somebody that you trust, that, like I said, that have been there, done that, that can walk with you, hold your hand at times, actually, and walk through that process. And I think that is key, in finding that someone that you can bond with, that you have a lot of respect for, that's willing to impart their knowledge that they have learned over the years to you. So I think that's key. Like I said in the beginning, many books out there, but seek out a mentor.
Let's say, as a newcomer, I don't know anybody in the project management field. Can I use this book as my mentor?
Well, you took the word right out of my mouth. This book is really designed to, at ease, make you feel comfortable. Remove the scary point of project management. Remove the blind spots,
yes.
if you will, no pun intended. It will get you to that point where, yes, I can do this. Build up your confidence. And then, do some more formal training around that, do some more reading, and then roll up your sleeve, get your hands dirty a bit, and get going once you get the opportunity to do that. This book is really a good foundation, a build-up for the junior or the now upcoming project manager.
All right, so seeing as you're a seasoned professional in this space, I also know that you have courses. You are a mentor to people as well in your capacity. Can you tell us more about that?
Absolutely. Yes. Well, focus around technology and leadership. I do a lot of leadership courses, leading by influence, the relationship building, organizational change management, again, around the people part of it. I help governments. I've been in Canada, Middle East, Europe, the US, working with organizations to manage large enterprise-wide projects, but ensuring that the people part of it is taken care of. A lot of projects, a lot of organizations fail to realize that. So I help organizations zero in on that, focus on that, identify areas that need improvement, build a relationship, lead them throughout that major change. Take them through the pain points of change, because human nature by default resists change, small or large. So my job is to help them, hey, this is going to be not as difficult as you think it might be once you follow these steps there. So I do a lot of lectures around that as well.
Yes.
I teach IT certification courses within the project management framework, the business analysis framework. It is a lot. So I am kept busy, but I really love what I do, and my family supports me 100%, which is fantastic as well.
I love that. So seeing as it seems like you have put so much of yourself into this book, how would you say your personal experiences shape the content of this book?
Oh, it has. Like most project managers, this book didn't exist. So some things you learn along the way. you fall, you have to get up, you burn, you know, you have to rebuild relationships with people. So that definitely is part of the inspiration for this book, my own personal experiences there. And you know what, it takes, it's no man is an island. And that is what kind of this book hints at. People are the important element of this, and you have to be able to build and manage and maintain that relationships as you go along the way. So definitely this book really epitomizes, if you will, my personality, my character, my experiences within this book, yes.
As a lecturer yourself, what is this book, would this book be good for students in project management?
Most definitely. And that is one of the things that I wanted to, there's very little highly technical content in this book. I broke it down to really easy reading. I myself sometimes, you pick up a 400-page textbook and it's like, oh my goodness. You know, so it really makes you want to get more involved in the topic. You know, you're traveling in a maxi, you're reading the book. You're going to bed and you want some light reading, you take this book. You have an hour for lunch, you take this book and you read it. That is the idea behind it. Really, really light reading. It's what, 60 pages?
Wow.
Easy reading. Yeah, it's fantastic. It's, you know, if any smaller, it might have been a pocketbook, but I didn't want it to be a pocketbook because that's too small.
Yes.
Yeah, it's fantastic. I mean, and I'm not being biased. I've got a few good comments from seasoned people within the industry, colleagues of mine worldwide. They said that this book is really something that was missing, and there you have it.
So, when is this book coming out, and where can people find it?
Yeah, it's the formal launch is happening on February 26th. It's the virtual launch, Wednesday, February 26th. It's at 5:30 p.m. my time. I believe that will be 8:30 p.m. Eastern time, well, Trinidad time. It's available on Amazon and Barnes & Noble initially. There are two versions, as in there's a digital copy and there's a hard copy there as well. So a lot of people nowadays, they like to download and read it on their tablets, on their phone, or their computer, whatever. So that option is there. That's very, very easy. Once you pay, immediate availability, and there's a hard copy version. I'm old school, so I personally like to have paper in my hand to read. But there are both options available there. So Amazon and Barnes & Noble is where you can get those copies right now, actually.
Right now. Did you face any challenges in getting the book published, and how did you manage that?
No, there's so many hundreds of publishers out there. You'd be surprised. I was surprised when venturing into this, but I found a book publishing company that really worked with me personally. No stress, cost effective. You know, they took me through the stages. They even helped me with getting it set up on the publishing platform like the Amazon and the Barnes & Noble as well. So they really held my hand and walked me through that process. And they even sent me some sample copies, let me know how it look and feel, if any changes and so on. So it was a painless exercise, fortunately. I know one or two other persons that have published books themselves that was a bit painful for them, but I was blessed in that regard, where that process wasn't difficult for me, and it wasn't a long process either. Once I had the content and the vision in mind, which I did, they helped me to bring that to reality there, and which brought out the end product. So it was a very good experience for me.
I'd love to hear that.
Dr. Digans, you've said, you know, you're a lecturer, you do lectures. Where do you do your lectures?
I was a former lecturer at the UWI Online campus. I now do lectures here at the university here in Alberta. I also do lectures, training courses for governments in Ghana and in the Middle East as well, online and in person. So at times I do have to travel to like Dubai and like Saudi Arabia and to conduct these courses for these organizations. At times I do it online as well. So I'm a person that roams a lot in that regard. Wherever the need is, once the time fits in, I do that. So that's part of my
Are your
business,
lectures,
which I really enjoy.
Right. Are your lectures done independently, or you are associated with an organization?
Through my company,
Right.
but I am affiliated with a lot of training organizations that have branches worldwide. So when there's a particular topic that they're presenting and that they want to run, they look for lecturers like myself.
Yeah.
So through that, so it's like a partnership really, but through my organization.
So Dr. Digans, I'm actually very curious here. Seeing as you do these lectures worldwide, do you have to tailor your approach for, say, a Trinidad lecture versus a lecture in the Middle East?
Absolutely. The cultures are vastly different there. So there are certain things that you can and cannot do. So you do have to keep the audience in mind for sure. But what I have found successful, once you can connect with the people and connect with their heart and they relax, if you will, you now have them in your control. So it makes it more easy to relate, to communicate, to impart the information and so on. But yes, you do absolutely have to keep the audience in mind. I mean, for example, even though it's Middle East, Dubai and Saudi Arabia, Riyadh, for example, two different cultures. Even though it's Middle East, two different cultures. So you do have to know your audience there. But once they get to know them and they get to know you, then the next round will be a lot easier. So I would definitely yes to your question.
With your vast amount of knowledge in project management and many years of work in this field, can you tell us a little bit about how project management has evolved, or if it has evolved over the years then to now?
That's a loaded question, From a methodology standpoint, yes, it has evolved and it's still evolving. I mean, there's, technically the waterfall, agile, scrum, and which I don't want to get into detail of that. But what I have found is historically, a lot of these methodologies focused on a lot of processes and procedures and all of that, forgetting the people side of it. Now they're realizing, wait a minute, no matter what we do, people are involved. So they are putting a lot of emphasis on the people side. So they're changing how they engage with projects and organizations, making it people focused rather than process focused, which is a good thing. So that is where it has evolved. So a lot of, there's still the formal, at least experience required, training required to know how to manage projects of various sizes and so on. But there's the emphasis on the people, which makes it very, very interesting and enjoyable. And this is where organizational change management comes in. Years ago, change management was not a part of projects. Now it is front and center and a mandatory requirement, if I may say, for projects and for project to be successful. Because once you bring in a change, as I would have said a few minutes ago, you're going to interrupt people's momentum and they will get antsy, they will get nervous and so on. Is this change going to affect how I do my job? Will it affect my job at all? Will I lose my job? Those questions still happen once a change is coming in. So the people focus now is very much prominent in all of the various methodologies and all the hybrids that exist as well. People are the focus, which is fantastic.
Dr. Digans, just to reiterate for our listeners and viewers, how can we get in connect with you? Is it through through your company? Do you have a website? Are your lectures accessible? Is it a fee? Is it free? How does this work?
Yes, another loaded question, but yes, I do have my website, and that's how you get in contact with me, diganstechnologies.com. On there is a part where you can book a free meet and greet, if you will, for 30 minutes. And if you have a need or so for whatever it is, whether it's training, whether it's one-on-one mentorship, there is that free introductory 30-minute where we meet and we talk, and then I get to understand what it is, what your requirements are, and then we take it from there. A lot of my courses and stuff are not for free, but we can certainly discuss some of your needs and so on. They're not available pre-recorded as yet. Actually, my team started advising me that I should start putting some of those courses, compact it to size, and make it available, downloadable for a fee, nominal fee and stuff as well. But on my website, theganstechnologies.com, you would see all of the topics that I cover and where my experience lies, and then we can discuss how I can help you moving forward.
Got it. As project management is ever evolving, I'm sure we can expect a future book with some more don'ts or possibly some do's.
Yes. Just last week, actually, someone asked me about, are you considering another book, what's going to be about, and so on. So I said, yes, topic TBD. I have been asked about, when I do a lot of my leadership courses, if I'll be bringing out a book on that. So my next book may be about that, or it may be a spin-off to this topic as well. Undecided right now, but definitely later this year, you can expect another book coming out from me, for sure.
Well, Dr. Digans, who is your ideal reader? And what do you hope that they get out of this?
Oh, inspiration. This book really designed to inspire you, the reader, seasoned or beginner, to really take up the cause and continue. There is the light at the end of the tunnel, and this book really helps you to don't be scared. We have all been there. We have all faltered in some way, some more than others, but it's designed to help you realize the common pitfalls that a lot of product managers don't avoid. So it's what they should avoid moving forward. So this book is about, hey, if I can do it, you can do it too, really. I mean, doctor, yes, but I've had my challenges along the way. So I am not unique to not having challenges. And this book is to say, hey, we've all been there. You can do it.
All right. Thank you so much, Dr. Digans. Thank you so much for joining us. Just to reiterate for our viewers, this book, Blind Spots, Blunders, and Bloopers, Project Management Don'ts, is coming out on February 26th. And you can find it at Amazon or Barnes & Nobles. Also, you can go onto his website to hear more about what he's doing. So again, thank you, Dr. Digans, for joining us.
It has been my pleasure. Thank you for having me, and do have a wonderful rest of the day. I will now go have some coffee.
Yes, I know it's quite early over there, like 4 a.m. or so on?
Correct, 4:07 a.m. my time right now.
Okay. Right. Thanks so much for sacrificing and being with us.
Thank you, and have a good day.
You too, Dr. Digans. All right, so we are going to go to a quick commercial break, and we will be right back with you. So thank you and stay tuned.
Maybe he landed here totally by coincidence. But if by chance he's admiring your fresh coat of Benjamin Moore soft sky blue, well, that's a pretty high compliment. Coming from an expert.
My name is Dr. Stephen Carroll, the CEO at Community Hospital of Seventh-day Adventist, and we are committed to making good private health care affordable.
For all your medical needs, including dental, radiology, laparoscopy, behavioral and mental health, along with many other services, contact us for more information at 235-5479.
Community Hospital of Seventh-day Adventist,
where good private health care is affordable.
Simons Musical Supplies Limited. We are the specialist in new and used musical instruments, carrying top brands like Yamaha, Pearl River pianos, Vinyl and Sabian cymbals, Remo and Evans drumheads and Fender guitars, just to name a few. Also a wide assortment of music books, pan and accessories. At Simons, we service what we sell. Trust the leader. Call us now at 625-6412 or visit us at 20 Board Street, Port of Spain.
Transform your home with PCU Plus. From stylish furniture to the latest appliances, we have everything you need to create your perfect space. At PCU Plus, we offer fair prices and affordable financing options that are cheaper than hire purchase agreements. With convenient locations in San Fernando, Tobago, Arima, and our lifestyle showroom in Barataria, you're never far from the best deals. Visit PCU Plus today and discover why we're the top choice for quality furniture and appliances. PCU Plus. Quality you trust, prices you'll love. Visit one of our locations or find us online to start transforming your home today.
FanZone, your reliable, authentic supplier, has just gotten better. You can now visit our website www.fanzonett.com for your authentic wear and collectibles. The only place where you can use both your Visa debit and credit cards. Visit our website fanzonett.com to make your purchase today. SM Group International Limited, your solutions partner for the latest innovations, brands and competent staff to meet your needs. We provide products and services in the following divisions: executive services, event rental and services, power and heavy equipment, construction and property management, food and beverage, aggregate and sales and distribution. Check out more on our products and services at www.smgrouptt.com. Contact us at 221-7445 or email at info@smgrouptt.com. We are SM Group International, your solutions partner.
Take some time for yourself or spend some time with the family at Sandy Point Village Hotel. Enjoy our various studio and suite apartments, self-contained with their own kitchenettes and Wi-Fi. We also have our famous 100-foot swimming pool and our beachfront restaurant, the Steak and Lobster Grill. And our location in Crown Point puts us near the center of activity, from the nylon pool to the local nightlife. Call us and make your reservations at 639-8533, 389-2378, or email us at sandypointvillagehotel@gmail.com.
My name is Dr. Stephen Carroll, the CEO at Community Hospital of Seventh-day Adventist, and we are committed to making good private health care affordable.
For all your medical needs, including dental, radiology, laparoscopy, behavioral and mental health, along with many other services, contact us for more information at 235-5479.
Community Hospital of Seventh-day Adventist,
where good private health care is affordable.
Every word, every line, every paragraph depicts a real moment in someone's life. A father, a sister, a mother, a brother. We at Newsday are dedicated to you, the people, and through independent, unwavering journalism, strive to always bring your stories to life. Because your stories are more than just words. Newsday, independent and credible.
This is Face of Sports, WESN Content Capital. How you felt about the kiss on the lip?
That's the business. I'm nothing to do with that.
And I find that was distasteful.
The national senior team, whether you like it or not, that is the model for all other teams to follow.
I'm assuming that the regional requirement may be a much stricter requirement.
This is not about Pro League and Super League. This is a league run by the Normalization Committee that I'm responsible for.
Nobody expected FIFA to fund this arrangement.
If we don't get a professional attitude towards this, we are doomed for failure.
You break the balance, trip the leg, control the body.
They ain't gonna stand put forever.
Why you want the Chiefs to lose so? Why you want the Chiefs to lose so?
They already have two. Lamar don't
Why?
have.
You're jealous because you know the Chiefs getting closer to the Patriots. Let's go to the last part.
No,
Let's go to the last part.
Between the Bank and the Gutter, a novel about street dwellers in Port of Spain. This is a book to make you both laugh and cry. Above all, it takes you to that special space that only street dwellers know. In this moving and riveting human interest story, Harry journeys from insanity to sanity while living on the streets of Port of Spain. Now available at Metropolitan Books, 12 Aripita Avenue, Woodbrook. Paper-based bookshop, 14 Alcazar Street, Woodbrook. WESN, 30A Gattaca Street, Woodbrook. And the home store branches located at Barataria, Shogunas, and East Gates Mall. Autographed copies now available on request. Also available from author Louis Lee Singh. I Used to Live in Heaven, Letters to My Granddaughters, Local Government in Trinidad, Conspiracy Against the People, and Closer to the Church. Welcome back to the program, and thank you for staying with us. This next conversation has a bit to do with February 14th, Valentine's Day, a timeless celebration of love, or just an overpriced chocolate scam. Depending on who you ask, it's either the most romantic day of the year or a capitalist plot to keep Hallmark in business. But have you ever noticed how different generations celebrate it? As a Gen Z myself, I know how much our approach to love is shaped by social media, dating apps, and a culture that prioritizes emotional intelligence and self-love. But what about the generations before us? How do they celebrate Valentine's Day? And do they see love differently than we do? Boomers and Gen X might reminisce about love and mixtapes, while millennials are busy planning experience-based dates, and Gen Z, well, we're probably just sending another ironic TikTok or debating whether our situationship counts as a real relationship.
That's a little too real.
So today we're asking, what does Valentine's Day mean for boomers and Gen X versus millennials and Gen Z? More importantly, is Gen Z the new romantics, or are we just vibing with commitment issues?
Vibing
Let's
with
get
commitment
into this.
issues. Oh, you hit the nail on the head right there. Because we have popularized situationship.
Yes.
and as someone who is unfortunately quite familiar with them, it's really a generational divide. Because when I go to my mother, I go to my aunts, and I talk about these situationships that I'm having, their response is, why are you in that? Why are you even in that? Why are you there? Versus, and then my response when I talk to my friends is, well, maybe you should do this, or talk to him like this, or talk to him like that. Versus my aunts in there, they're just like, stop, leave him alone. He's not serious.
Yeah. The older generation, they seem to have a more like dry, cutthroat kind of approach to these situationships, as we call them, because I mean, I guess back then you would have met your soulmate or met your love, met your significant other face to face. That interaction would have come from a genuine place, whereas now we tend to meet our spouses or meet our partners through online dating apps, through I would even say mutual friends as much anymore. You know, millennials they would have probably been the last generation to have that genuine connection with a significant other, or to meet somebody.
Yeah, it seems like the traditional men, or fathers, grandfathers, and so on, they wrote handwritten love letters. They took you out for romantic dinners. Where are the men that do that now? Can you come to the forefront? Can you come to the forefront?
So let's talk a little bit about the Valentine's Day, right? We're talking about how we celebrate Valentine's Day. What do we do? Mm-hmm. What do the boomers do? What do the millennials do? And what do the Gen Zs do? Because as a Gen Z myself, I'm not a big fan of Valentine's Day. I don't think that it's as big a deal. To me, Valentine's Day is just about love, you know, and it's just love for everybody in your life, your parents, your family members, your friends. It's not just for your significant other. And I think for some people, Valentine's Day goes really deep, you know, and they make it a big deal, especially, I know some research would have stated millennials, they spend the most on Valentine's Day. Yeah. You know, they make it known that this day is for my significant, and it's not just, they spend the most on Valentine's Day for their partner. Mm-hmm. That's what the research stated.
Yeah, it really marks a shift in the holiday shopping trends in general. As someone that is Gen Z, we spend a lot of time on DIY gifts. You know, we spend a lot of time, and not just for our partners, but for our friends. Yeah. Yeah, there's this
new trend,
Galentine's. Yeah.
So Galentine's is a new thing. Yeah. And I think it was something created by Gen Z. You know, Galentine's is about coming together with your friends, your girlfriends, and just enjoying each other, doing things that, you know, you'll connect. Because I know another new thing now is that your soulmate doesn't have to be your significant other. Your soulmate can be your best friend. It
can be a dog.
It can be a dog. That's a new thing now. Who knew?
Mm-hmm. And what this is kind of showing us is that Gen Z tends to be more self-focused. You know, we're focused more on what makes us happy. So if we don't have a partner, our best friend makes us happy. So that's what we spend the most amount of money on. Versus like our parents, it was your significant other, and that was it. Like I look to how my parents celebrate Valentine's. My dad would still take my mom out. He would, on Valentine's Day, we would come home and there'd just be chocolates. There'd be teddy bears, all of these things. And that's such a traditional view of Valentine's Day, such a traditional view of love. And that's what I think a lot of, honestly, Gen Z people, Gen Z young women and men would crave that kind of love, that kind of attention. Why don't we have that anymore? Mm-hmm. Why do you think we don't have that anymore?
Yeah. I think social media has a big part to play in that. What we see, we tend to compare a lot of what goes on in our lives with other people, you know, and that's a big thing. It's not. I hate that so much. It's not good. I don't think there's any pros to the representation of love on social media because it is never accurate. It makes it feel like it's a far reach, and a lot of Gen Zs now, that's what they have to look forward to. You know, that's their goals. Certain things we see, that's their goal. They want
goals.
Yeah. Couple goals. That's another trend.
Yeah, and the same couples that they idolize break up in what, a year?
A year, sometimes less.
Sometimes less. Mm-hmm.
But let's get into Valentine's Day gift giving. Right? So I have some statistics here from a Pew Research. Boomers and Gen X, their main gift giving is roses, jewelry, and dinner dates. That's what they kind of focus on. Millennials, they focus on experience-based gifts, so travel, concerts, parties, one-on-one. Yeah. Gen Zs, we focus on digital tokens and or matching Crocs. I don't know why this was here. Yeah. So Gen Z, we focus a lot on, I guess, you know, having twinning with your partner, with your significant other, something sentimental to say, you know?
It's almost like we're almost splitting costs, like it's like we're trying to be budget friendly. Because what I got from your research points is that our parents, the traditionalists, roses, jewelry, those gifts are expensive.
Yeah.
They focus on class, they focus on long-lasting tokens, material things.
Yeah.
Millennials, they're always like the black sheep of the family. Yeah. But the experiences, that's such a nice way. So it's kind of juxtaposes the traditional view. So I kind of applaud millennials for that, for the travel and the experiences. And then you have Gen Z. Do you wanna match Crocs? Do you wanna match nightgowns or nighties or all of these different things? It's such a vast.
It's almost superficial. I think Gen Zs, we are more superficial than the other generations. And again, social media has a big part to play in that, you know.
Should we take after millennials more and
I don't
focus more on travel?
I think it's a little too late for that. So honestly, it's a little too late for that. We are who we are.
I want to change. I want to go Bali for my next Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
I want to be a millennial. I don't want Crocs anymore. I want to go to Bali. Just putting that out there.
But I mean, all we can say really, for Valentine's Day, I think what we ought to focus on, no matter your generation or what generation you're from, we definitely have to be keen on understanding love languages, you know, and your love language is very important for your significant other, not even just your significant other, it's just people in general. Having a relationship with a friend, having a relationship with family members, you have to remember that you are to love someone in their love language, you know, and I think that's something that even as Gen Zs, we don't really pay much attention to. I think this is something that was from the older generation, so I would say from boomers, Gen X even, they were more in tune with love languages rather than now, because I don't think it's spoken about enough for us younger generations to have that understanding of love languages and appreciating the people in your life in their love language.
In a way, I would actually almost disagree with it a little bit. I think it started more so with millennials. I find like with the way boomers express love, they don't really have, I mean, not say this like that, but the emotional intelligence. I think that those terms started to pop up more so with millennials. I actually think Gen Z does a good job at being in tune with feelings and emotions, and how to love is what I would say. I don't think we're good at it. I don't think we put the theory into practice, but I do think we know more about it.
No, but we do focus a lot on emotional intelligence.
Yes.
You know, emotional intelligence for us is a big deal.
Yes.
And that is what kind of keeps us, when you look at young relationships now, like, I'm not talking about that teens, you know, I'm talking about like just like the young adults in their 20s.
Yeah.
Their relationships, I find, are really extravagant. They tend to go all out, and that to me is interesting because individuals in their 20s now would be considered Gen Z. So when we look at their relationship, they're so considerate, they're so affectionate.
Almost overly so.
Overly considerate, overly affectionate. They do a lot. They go all out for Christmas, birthdays, Valentine's Day. It's a big deal. And I think that has changed because when I looked at a lot of the research done, they said that millennials are the ones who take Valentine's Day seriously, more serious. But then when I compare it to, you know, what I know in reality in my world, you know, to me, Gen Zs are the ones that really go all out. They make it a big deal. If you don't get your Gen Z significant other Valentine's Day gift,
like
all hell breaks loose. It's better we break up at this point, you know. But But yeah, but it is a...
Yeah. Yeah. I actually wanted to, as you go on to the love languages, you did the there's 5 different types of love languages. There's a gift giving, correct me if I'm wrong, gift giving, acts of service, physical touch, quality time. It's kind of telling. I said gift giving first. What's the 5th one?
Gift giving, acts of service, quality time, words of affirmation.
Words of affirmation.
Yeah.
I love that one, actually. Which one do you think Gen Z does the most or is most competent with?
I don't think that's something that we can generalize because everybody is different. So we could say Gen Z, I don't think Gen Z has one specific love language that, you know, we group, but it just depends on the individual. It depends on the person, because you see it differently. It comes from a place of how you were raised, what you would have seen most growing up with your parents, or just the adults in your life. So it's definitely not something that can be grouped.
I guess I can understand that. What would be your love language? Would you? I'm putting you on the spot. What's your love language?
Okay, this is the next point, you know. As Gen Z, I think, yes, we're a lot of the times we're on this like self-finding journey. And I can't say I 100% cemented and know what my love languages are, but I think I have an idea. It would be something like acts of service and words of affirmation. I really appreciate being told certain things, positivity. I like when people do things for me. Specifically, if my significant other, I prefer them doing something that they see fit for me rather than giving me a gift. You know?
It's tailored.
Yeah. So it just depends.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, what actually, because I'm not going to say mine, because I actually don't think you would enjoy mine. I like gifts. But actually wanted to take the topic a little bit further into the spending habits, going back to how our parents used to do it. Let's talk about that that thing in the news the other day about the $200 date.
Oh my gosh.
$200 probably was enough to take Granny out.
Right.
Granny and Grandpa out. You know? But I was actually picking up for the guy who had the $200 date because honestly it should be enough to have a nice night out. But let's talk about how the economy is making us
feel that
treat dating.
You know, you see, dating is, when you're dating, I personally do not think you should spend an exorbitant amount of money on your first date, especially. $200, that was a big conversation. When was it, last year?
Yeah.
It was a big conversation last year, and there were some people that was leaning on the side of, yeah, $200 is enough, and then some people are like, are you mad?
Yeah.
$200, definitely not.
Not do nothing.
I personally have been on a date where the guy spent $200, and honestly, I was talking to Jada about this before the show, and it wasn't enough. Personally, it wasn't enough. I still had to spend money to complete the date. You know, so and then too, we could talk about that. It's okay, you know, and this is something that Gen Zs kind of bring into the conversation. Splitting dates 50-50.
Yes,
really.
That's an
50-50.
interesting conversation.
I think that is something I can't sit with Gen Zs on.
I draw the line at the $200 date. I can understand that, but 50-50?
Yeah, it's okay because that $200 date thing, things are expensive, right? That is the only reason I would say that $200 on a date may not be sufficient. But it also depends on what you do or where you go, right? $200 could work if you plan a picnic. But if you're going to the movies, dinner, $200 is not going to work, right? But that's splitting a date 50-50. That might be a controversial topic, but it it can't, I can't sit with the Gen Zs, like the Gen Zs. I'm going to take myself out of that category for that part of the conversation.
No, I think I'd have to agree with you on that. And actually, I think we can continue with this topic, with the whole 50-50 conversation, because it's something I think I would want to hear a lot more Gen Z's view on, and also someone that's a bit older, because when you hear how older people would talk about the whole 50-50 conversation, they don't even talk about it.
No. It's almost understood. It's like, no, when you take as a man, when you take a lady out on a date, you pay.
Yeah.
You know, that's a traditional way. So the older generations, that is not even a question.
Exactly.
Why are you pulling out your wallet?
I shouldn't even have to walk with it. I mean, some
vex
money, sure. Vex money, sure. But I shouldn't even have to think about pulling out my wallet on a first date with a guy that asks me out. That is unheard of. That is completely unheard of. I was having a conversation with one of my aunts a while ago, and the topic of the whole 50-50 conversation came up, and she was like, I don't know what your young girl's doing. I don't know what your young girl's doing. Why are so many of our young women, is it settling? Is it thinking that, is it because of the economy? Are we more understanding, or is it that we just are settling?
Settling. It has to be that. I agree with your aunt 100%.
She would love that.
But Jade, I think this is a conversation we can definitely have again. We can continue. There's a lot more to unpack on this topic, and I think next time we would definitely get some more opinions. Some, like you said, somebody in the older generation, somebody in the middle generation, the middle child, y'all millennials.
And Freya, possibly get some solutions, some answers.
Yes.
Not like what our producer was saying, you just go sit in double park. We get some proper solutions, some proper answers.
Oh boy. But yes, so that's what we're gonna do. Hopefully maybe later this week we can look to having this conversation again, continuing it on and unpacking everything before Friday the 14th, which is Valentine's Day.
We love, guys. We love love, and happy Valentine's.
Oh yeah.
Happy Valentine's.
Yeah. I think no matter the generation, love is still at the heart of Valentine's Day, but Gen Z continues to redefine romance.
Romance,
I think we still have to answer the questions: are we making it better, or are we just too emotionally unavailable to commit?
Ooh, we can definitely go into this topic. I'd love that.
Well, guys, thank you so much for joining us on the program this morning. It was very exciting. I know we had a little hiccup at the start of the show. We started a bit late, but that's okay. We made it through, and we appreciate y'all staying with us and joining. I think I'm repeating myself,
No, we thank you guys for staying with us, for rocking with us. And with that, we do want to give you all a good morning. Thanks so much for being with us, and be committed to having an amazing day, as Katan would say. Bye-bye.
WESN.
Between the Bank and the Gutter, a novel about street dwellers in Port of Spain. This is a book to make you both laugh and cry. Above all, it takes you to that special space that only street dwellers know. In this moving and riveting human interest story, Harry journeys from insanity to sanity while living on the streets of Port of Spain. Now available at Metropolitan Books, 12 Aripita Avenue, Woodbrook. Paper-based bookshop, 14 Alcazar Street, Woodbrook. WESN, 30A Gattaca Street, Woodbrook. And the home store branches located